Discovery Weekly.
Welcome to Discovery Weekly, a discovery show that's all about finding new things. Each week we bring a couple topics so that we can try and discover new things together. I'm Zach.
I'm Kirk.
And I'm Matt.
And I don't know a lot about basketball, but I did see something that was really cool this week that has something to do with basketball, and it had to do with the first ever fan that was inducted into the Hall of Fame for the NBA.
I heard about this.
What I loved was the story. And I'll admit, this is actually coming from a whole Twitter thread, because this guy, Joe Pompliano, no idea who it is, probably like some big basketball person, I don't know. He has like this dude's whole story in a very concise way. I looked up so many articles about this guy, and it has bits and pieces, but this guy has his whole freaking story. So I'm going to go through it like that. It's all about this guy, and his name is Nav Bhatia. And he came to Canada fleeing political turmoil, and he became a mechanical engineer. But because of his turban and his long beard and just racism, he was having some issues finding a job or doing it, even though he was like really high up as where he was from. He was overqualified for everything, but he wasn't able to get a really good job. So he ended up taking a job as a car salesman. And he wanted to prove that hard work trumps hate. So through a unique combination of hard work, friendly personality, and catchy radio ads, he became the best car salesman in Canada, like all of Canada. He sold 127 cars in the first 90 days of the job.
That's pretty solid.
127 cars. And apparently that record still stands today. Like still the most cars that were sold in 90 days by one person in all of Canada. He ended up becoming the general manager of that dealership. And he ended up buying it in the long run because he was so successful. So he ended up basically owning multiple car dealerships. And he was just extremely successful due to his hard work and everything like that. But he even had issues with when he would buy a company, like a dealership, a lot of the employees would just quit because they didn't like that he was a Muslim. They didn't like that he had a turban and all this other stuff. But he always found a way to make it work. So he ended up in what year was it? He ended up becoming a millionaire, and it gave him the flexibility to pursue his other passion, which was basketball. And that's where the Raptors came in. In 1995, they got, I guess, named the NBA's 28th franchise via league expansion in 1995, and he bought season tickets. The team was horrible, but he didn't care. He was excited that he had a team that he could cheer on because apparently he loved basketball. And long story short, he has been to every single home game since 1995, which is a ridiculous amount of games. And he was then bestowed upon him from the Raptors as the super fan. So he was, apparently he's very well known. Like if you're watching basketball, again, I don't know anything about basketball, so I didn't know who he was, but he's very well known. He's always out there with like Drake and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
You know, watching these games.
Yeah, no, the Raptors got good like 2 years ago. They won. Yeah.
So he hasn't missed a single home game, and he's 69 years old now. And in 2018, he became the only fan in NBA history to receive an official championship ring. They gave him a championship ring when they actually won. And he was able to participate in the parade. and then just now he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. But I really love the quote. And I mean, I literally like almost teared up a little bit reading this because it's a really cool story for one, just going through all this adversity, never giving up, and also just kind of in the face of hate for decades, just pushing through and becoming, just still knowing you got to be a good person and stuff like that. He said, I made a promise as a kid to my mom that I would never remove my turban. Today it is in the Hall of Fame. Embrace what makes you different. It is your superpower. This is the crown I wear each day. Thank you, Mom. And now, because he's a millionaire and he has plenty of money to spend, he spends $300,000 annually to send thousands of kids to Raptors games. He intentionally makes sure that he picks kids from different backgrounds. So like black kids, white kids, rich, poor, Christian, Muslim, and he makes them all sit together at these games because he wants people to get to know people that are different than them. And it's just, I don't know, the story is just amazing. And it's really cool that, you know, the first fan ever inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame is this guy. I don't think there's anybody that's more deserving than him. So I just thought it was a really cool story.
No, that is a great story, you know, and it's so easy to like, because sometimes sports are just sports, but then sometimes they change, you know, so sometimes there's these really like human elements that happen in there that really make it special. And this guy is definitely part of that.
Yeah, I remember reading that and being like, damn, Nov's the man.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
Nov's the man.
Yeah, he does sound like the man. And yeah, that takes incredible fortitude to be able to withstand everything that he did and still be a generous and like fun person at the other side of it. You know, it's pretty incredible. So I felt like it had been 5 minutes or so since we brought up Atlas Obscura, so I needed to do it again. Fantastic website. Check them out. Not a sponsor. But basically they had this article that's all about a cooking competition in the Pacific Islands that the whole point of it is to raise awareness for disease, essentially. So there is a show called Pacific Island Food Revolution, and it's a food competition show. But I think the quote from this article is it makes I need to find this quote because it is really good, because basically they didn't want it to, they know how popular shows like Hell's Kitchen and things like that are, but they didn't want to go with that vibe necessarily.
The drama vibe.
Yeah, because it is ridiculous how over the top it is. But basically, I'll paraphrase it because I can't find it right now. But they said something like, this show makes the Great British Baking Show look like Mad Max, you know, so it's very laid back, and that's editorialized. I disclaimed it, but yeah, this is a very laid back show where they're all about trying to cook things with native ingredients, because apparently after reading about this, they think that one of the main issues with Pacific Islanders in general is that there is heavy reliance on like processed foods that are extremely calorie heavy and nutrition light. And so they have very, very high levels of obesity. And that also goes with heart disease, diabetes, and several other issues that are weight related. And they think that a lot of this is because of like colonialism. So they lost, and globalization. So they lost a lot of their cultural history and kind of the way that people in those regions had lived and eaten for thousands of years because of all of the turmoil caused by colonialization, basically. And so they started to shift from what was originally their kind of cultural foods to things that were easy access. But essentially, non-communicable diseases like diabetes and heart failure and things like that are 70% of the deaths across the Pacific. So it's a very high percentage. Oh, it's a major issue. They said there's 800,000 people in Fiji, and every day 3 Fijians undergo an amputation due to diabetes, damaging their extremities. Cow. So it's something that's really become an issue. But then you get to how they're trying to do it, and they're trying to like address some of these issues by just making a great show. So there is one host named Oliver, and there is another host, and I'll try to find their name as well. But basically, they want to highlight the food, and that's their main premise. So they basically have teams of 2, and I think it's 12 of them, and they all try to cook with native, like Pacific ingredients that are healthier. I don't even think that they make that really a rule. It doesn't have to be healthy. It just has to be whole foods, like from the region, And so the entire premise behind this is just show people how good the food is to try and address this. And it's become this really like kind of inspiring, feel good show. And Kirk and I have talked about it before that we like the slow pace of Great British Baking Show compared to most cooking shows, because it's not like about like these contrived dramatic moments and like all these like, because it's always the same thing. Oh, somebody's about to get yelled at, play that weird little water sound thingy, and then cut the commercial. Yeah, it's every single show, and it gets boring. And so it's just cool to read about this show where they're trying to kind of take back that like food culture identity that they had by highlighting it through a really kind of wholesome vibe show.
What was the show called? It was Pacific Island.
Yes, the show is called Pacific Island Food Revolution.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I mistook that as there is a Pacific Island Food Revolution, and this show is heading it.
I mean, that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, that's crazy though.
Oh, actually, the other host of it, last thing, the other host of it is literally a princess. It is a royalty in the area. And I will not.
I saw that. That name is so long.
I'm not going to try. And here's the thing. I want to say her name, but there is literally zero chance on this planet that I say the name even remotely correct. And it feels worse to do that. But it is, she's a princess from the Pacific region.
Can I say it?
Yeah, go for it.
Salot mafile o pilaluwi chuita.
That's seems good.
She is the royal princess of Tonga.
Oh, a Tonganese princess.
Mm-hmm. And she's the other host, and then the other one's a chef. And together they're trying to change how Pacific Islanders look at their food.
The dishes look really good. Mm. And of course, the background's got to be ridiculously beautiful.
It's crazy. Like they show one on set here, and it's literally just like palm trees and like coconuts, and then just like the water. But yeah, so if you like a Great British Baking Show, this is another show to try and see if you can find it, because I think it's a nice, wholesome vibe like that.
Nice. Well, my first discovery today was I was doing an event recently, and one of the artists there, James Hartzell, was giving out some pens and magnets and stuff for a project that he works for, the Jack Kerouac project. I think he specifically works with the house here in St. Petersburg, but I'm going to speak about the Kerouac project of Orlando, because if you are a writer, can apply to submit to live in the Kerouac house for let's see, for how many days? Oh my God, it's for like 3 or 4 months at a time.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm looking into it right now. This is fascinating.
I know. So this the residency, I don't think is in the actual Kerouac house here in St. Petersburg, but it's a residency that's provided to the writers where you stay. Your utilities and food are provided for up to $1,000. All you're required to do is work on your writing project, participate in 3 events, a welcome potluck dinner. Ugh, you gotta do that? Jeez. A final reading of your work at the Kerouac House at the end of your residency, and a public reading at Valencia College. And they also offer you opportunities for you to participate in other readings, lead workshops, and interact in other ways with the vibrant Central Florida literary community. this is awesome. I had my eyes opened to residencies, artist residencies recently, because Zach, Mark and I have been going out to this cabin, and it got me thinking, like, come on, there's got to be more to this shit. Like, come on. And there is. Did you guys know that nearly every single national park has a residency program, an artist in residency program?
What?
Yeah, where you can go, you apply, you submit, and you can live there and work on your shit.
What is the requirement of being an artist?
I think they're pretty loose. You just have to prove to them that you do something.
Do an art.
Yeah. And back then I was like, oh, I want to do this as a musician. But my God, the idea that you can do this as a writer is like, what are you writing? You can write anything.
No, I mean, I'm immediately thinking, like, can we take like a vacation and be like, we all three do a podcast and we need to stay at the Grand Canyon.
Yes. If I were in charge of the Grand Canyon, I would say yes.
Call the president of the Grand Canyon. Get him on the phone. Let's find out.
I'd like to meet him. What does he look like? But yeah, pretty much the Kerouac Project has been around for quite some time. As you may or may not know, Jack Kerouac was one of the original beat poets, around with Ginsberg and Burroughs and all these other greats. But he lived here in St. Petersburg and actually died here in St. Petersburg. This was the last place he lived. And I learned this because I portrayed Jack Kerouac at a comedy roast, and I had to do some research on myself or him. But I learned that he got beat up really bad because he used to drink at the Flamingo Bar all the time. Which, if you go to the Flamingo Bar, you can get the Kerouac special, the shot of whiskey and a Yingling.
Then they beat you up.
Yeah, then they kick
and
your
a punch
ass.
in the face.
But he supposedly drank there so much he would get in altercations with people by like berating them, and then they would bring him outside and beat him up. It happened twice, and on the second time he was beat up so bad that he died because of his cirrhosis. He didn't heal well.
Oh God!
Oh wow!
Just died. Yeah, everybody says that Kerouac drank himself to death, but he actually got beat up so bad.
I mean, but it sounds like both of those things were tied to the alcohol.
Yeah, they didn't work together very well.
That's wild. But no, that sounds awesome though with the Kerouac Project.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Because
I really want to do this.
Yeah, they've been around forever, and all you have to do is submit.
I'm looking at the application.
Hey, stop filling out the application. Just wait a second.
I've never written anything, but I've been reading. What is it? Islands in the Stream by Hemingway, and I really like his writing, like the way he writes. I know that there's some issues with some of the stuff, but I like the way that he writes. Mm-hmm. And it makes me really want to learn how to write. It makes me want to be a writer. I don't want to, drink myself to death nor commit suicide.
I don't think that's required.
But I think it would be really cool to learn how to write.
No, I think that's great.
Oh, actually, one of the things you have to do is drink yourself to death.
Yeah, when you sign up for the I'mAWriterNow.com,
it does kind of seem like it's a part of it from what I've seen. So,
but yeah, very cool. Definitely check it out. See if it's worth your while, writers.
I'm gonna get right on that. So I have found a very interesting. I guess it's a team building experience that they do in Japan. And I didn't know that culturally people don't cry in front of each other or around each other, anything like that at all in Japan. It's very taboo. So there is this thing that they have that is it's funny. The name's funny. The title of this is a BBC article. It says, "The handsome weeping boys paid to wipe away your tears." And basically, they will have somebody come into your, usually like an office, into the conference room. They make you watch a bunch of really sad stuff. And then these apparently handsome men will be there as well. And they will cry, and they're good at crying. And apparently,
wait, the handsome men cry too?
The handsome men cry, which helps everyone else feel like they're free to cry. And then everyone starts crying, and then they go. Okay, I got to read some of it because it's pretty amazing. Okay. This film, and it talks about, this is what's going on, is a fatally ill dog.
Oh God, that is
horrible things. They're horrible things that make people want to cry. So this is the second film. The first one was about a little girl that had a terrible illness.
Oh my God, it's just
this is the second one.
Things you think are cute. Well, they're gonna die. Buckle up.
They're like 15-minute films, and they're just like horribly sad. Okay, it's about a fatally ill dog. Starts, I hear a muffled sob from the other side of the room. Minutes later, there are some loud sniffling noises to my right. Within 15 minutes, half of the room is staring at the screens, tears streaming down their face. The man showing the films begins to walk around and with a large cotton handkerchief softly wipes away the tears from people's faces. He diligently refolds the handkerchief for each person to offer them a dry patch.
This is the most surreal thing I've ever heard.
And there's some quotes in here from the guy that started. He said, "When I started running these workshops, there were some quite awkward moments."
Oh, really?
The man with the handkerchief tells me he was a model, good looking, and is taking his tear wiping role very seriously. I wasn't practiced enough, and so couldn't cry easily. And this would mean the audience couldn't cry either. But it's much better now. I can cry, and so others follow. And I love the job title. His job title is Ikimeso Danshi, or Handsome Weeping Boy. That's what they actually are called, is Handsome Weeping Boys.
Handsome Weeping Boy. That is wild.
It says Japanese are not used to crying in front of people, but once you cry in front of others, the environment will change, particularly in business. So basically, it's a team building experience.
You take the whole workplace to go cry together?
Yes. Because then you empathize better with each other. You work better with each other and all this other stuff.
So what? Like afterwards, you're like, Cheesecake Factory, everybody? Like,
yeah. It also seems like a good way to out the office sociopaths.
Yeah, just watch the dying puppy, and they're just like, no, I don't feel anything.
Just this big smile on their face. Companies can choose from a selection of handsome weeping boys. One is a trained dentist who does this on the side, while others play the part of either a gymnast, a funeral director, or a shoe shiner.
What? What does that mean, they play the part? There's like, I'm just a shoe shiner. Do you need to cry?
Yes. I don't know. It's just it's fascinating.
Crazy.
And there's other details about the guy that actually started it, and it's an interesting. There's so many really interesting things that they do, specifically like in business or like, I don't know. Japan it's a whole other world.
Speaking of otherworldliness from Japan, I found the most expensive toaster I've ever seen. It is a company called Balmuda, and they have toasters that run for $330. So the Balmuda is essentially a very fancy toaster. They have apparently it's a toaster oven. It's there's different bread settings for different types of bread. There's a pizza setting, and their whole ticket is you pour 5 cc's of water in the top, and so it steams your toast as it happens. And they also have a lantern that they sell for $130 that looks like a lantern. And my favorite part on the lantern is they say that it's lightly water resistant. It can still keep shining even with a few raindrops or a splash of water. It's like, I'm not taking that outside. Are you kidding? In a couple of raindrops, you're going to knock that thing out. They sell a kettle that is also just extremely expensive. And the reason I say this is because This Japanese toaster manufacturer is about to make an Android cell phone. They're breaking out of the toaster market and they're going to make a phone. So everybody keep your eyes peeled because I don't really know what's going to happen with it, but it's probably going to be expensive.
So
you can make toast with it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that would be sweet. I would love to know what technologies go behind that.
The toaster phone.
Each thing is also a toaster. The toaster lantern.
That's just always their thing.
Yeah.
Like, well, it makes toast. What else can it do?
Well, it's funny you say that it was slightly water resistant because I was going to say, what do you put 5 cc's of water in the lantern and it works better? 5 cc's of water into your Android.
Honestly, I would love that too if they just leaned into it. If you add water, everything's better. No, the toaster literally has a little gap on the top that you pour the water in before you toast. But they say it's the best toast you'll ever have.
How expensive is it?
The toaster, it's $340.
Oh. That's a lot of money.
The kettle is $180, and it looks like an electric kettle. The lantern is $130. So I don't know what the phone's going to be, but it should be fantastic and lightly waterproof and make great toast. I will throw in one bonus discovery for everyone who wants to horrify/traumatize their children. I found an Amazon discovery that I shared with Matt and Kirk earlier, but I need to share with all of you as well. It is called the HTYAIG Money Saving Bank Face Money Eating Box Kids Money Saving Collection Piggy Bank Automatic Novelty Coin Bank Pink. And this is one of the more disturbing things I've ever seen. Like, if you're scared of the Teletubbies, you should not click the link in the show notes. But it is kind of what it says. It's really hard to tell with the wall of words they put in the description. But what it essentially is it's a little face that has a weird skin-like texture and looks like a mix between a frog and a Teletubby. And you put coins in its mouth and it eats them. But the execution of this is far more frightening than I could possibly describe to you. It has a built-in motion sensor to see the coins and it eats it. It has one image on the Amazon thing that says elastic rubber face gives you a good hand feeling as it's pulling up the lip on the disturbing box with a face on it. But yeah, it's essentially a piggy bank.
It looks so scary. And I think it only holds 4 coins.
No, somebody said that on here. Somebody's gave it a terrible review and they're like, it holds, here it is, terrible. Does not pull grab coins at all. Just opens the mouth sometimes, but you have to physically push each coin in. So I just imagine them force feeding this thing and it just moving its mouth. It's terrifying. Bank also only holds about $5 at most of coins. Worst $16 I ever spent. Too bad my daughter threw away the box and I couldn't even return it.
Okay, I'm watching the video. Have you watched the video for one?
Yeah.
And the whole video, whoever's taking the video, their thumb is in it the entire time.
Yes. 100% recorded on a cell phone with the thumb strategically placed in the video.
Has the thumb on it. Oh, it's the best.
I also stumbled upon this. It says, warning, choking hazard. This toy is a small ball, not for children under 3 years.
What? So yeah, this is all over the place.
It's all over the place.
Yeah, and then also frequently bought together is a desk-size, wacky waving inflatable arm tube guy, and 200 pieces mini plastic babies, mixed race for baby shower party favor supplies ice cube. So we're just in full on weird. I'm guessing Chinese listings on Amazon.
I have seen this before, but I think I saw it on a list of worst things on Amazon, and it was on there.
Well,
I don't know why they're saying the babies are ice cubes. That's messing with me now.
They go in the ice cubes.
Oh, you put them in the ice cube?
You put them in an ice cube maker.
Ice cube. Well, here I'll just read you I'll read you the name of it, and then you can tell me what it means. Lamateur 200 pieces mini plastic babies mixed race for baby shower party favor supplies ice cube game party decorations 1 inch dark brown Latin pink green.
Wait, there's green ones?
Yes, there's little Hulk babies all in this. There right now. I see them on a donut.
What race is supposed to be green? I didn't even know that was a stereotype color for somebody.
I don't particularly think it is, but
just in case you have an alien baby.
But I will say that it's part of the frequently bought together because people are feeding the babies to the abomination piggy bank.
Yes.
So yeah, that's
I like Jimmy's top review. Don't sleep on this one. 3 stars. Works great. Had to take off 2 stars because it murdered the rest of my family in their sleep.
Yeah, exactly that. It's so yeah, if you want to traumatize your children, this is the perfect gift for the holidays.
Oh God. Well,
just in time for Christmas.
Yeah. Speaking of Christmas, I'll never get a hang of segues, but my last discovery today is these really awesome RPG groups on Facebook, and not RPG in the sense of like D&D, but more in the sense of weird scenarios that they've set up that then everyone in the group has to abide by. So probably the most famous one of these is a group where we all pretend to be boomers. Yes, this was very famous. Actually, it might even be the birthplace of the OK Boomer meme.
Really,
that swept the globe.
It took the country by storm.
Yeah, and this one was great. It was made. If you don't know what it is, it's a Facebook group created in May 2019, and the majority of the users are millennials and Gen Zers who are pretending to be baby boomers online. The group has been described as digital LARPing, so it's a digital LARP thing. And it basically just stereotypes boomers into what they post. And I love this. I love this type of posting because it's not specifically, this one is not what you post about, but it's how you post with the boomers.
So you don't know how to use technology as part of it?
Yes, like you capitalize every word in your post. It's a pretty classic one, or all caps, or you don't capitalize anything or use any punctuation. And it's so fun to do. Where you sign your name on Facebook posts, you say things that are totally unrelated, like, went to the mall today, and someone's like, your great grand aunt died. Grand aunt didn't make sense. Dash Barbara. So this was one of them. So these are digital LARPing groups. You can find them on Facebook. They're really fun. That is one of them. One of my other favorites are especially conceptually, is a group where we all pretend to be farmers and cows, which I just joined just to see. And
I know the answer to this, but are you a farmer or a cow?
Personally, I am a cow, but it's looking like
I think I might identify as a farmer.
Yeah. I just felt like as a farmer, I'd have too much responsibility.
I see that. I
just want to be able to eat my cud and and be milked.
It's always been a dream.
Yeah, and that's what digital LARPing is all about. But that's another group. One that I'm a part of is a group where we all pretend to be in the weeds at a restaurant, and basically when you're in the weeds is you're rushing around. And it's so funny because everybody's just saying 86 salmon, which means that we're out of salmon. Or they're saying hands in the kitchen. And it's like corner. It's just super dumb. It's very dumb. But another one that was pretty famous was a group where we all pretend to be working at the same office, which kind of got popular during the pandemic, which is sad.
Everybody missed it. Everybody missed the office environment.
So me and Zach were talking, before we started recording, because you mentioned this, and that's basically what the Gravity Beard Facebook group is, which is friends of our show, and it's a very fun group on there. There's like someone that is in charge of the cafeteria, so they're always sharing like horrible things that are going to be on in the cafeteria. Someone's in charge of like team building experiences and stuff like that. So it's ridiculous. Yeah, they're all interns. They're all interns, so everyone's unpaid, but we're all interns at the same company, and it's pretty great.
I love them. They're so fun, and just like what we were talking about before on our podcast Discovery, it's the more you buy into it, the more fun it is. And I found this article that kind of surprised me. So surprised me, but then didn't surprise me. But these groups have showcased how Facebook has been struggling with their moderation issues. And I say this because it starts, very fun. A group where we pretend to be farmers and cows. Another one, a group where we all pretend to be middle-aged soccer moms. And they can very quickly, as you might understand, like they can very quickly become very mean, where just reading some of the ones that pop up. This one is in the middle-aged soccer moms. It's one of the quote-unquote soccer moms has posted, Coach Randy, how soon can your divorce be final? Always in Christ, Mary Sue.
Oh, God.
But basically, I'm a part of this one, and I can't even tell you. I'm an admin on in the Weeds one, and there's like 12,000 people in it, and I get notified by Facebook almost daily, like multiple times in a day, that due to Facebook's moderation, that this particular post cannot be posted. It's been reviewed and removed. But this article talks about how the toxicity of stereotyping brings out into the real world. But I would also argue that it exists out in the real world and then it comes into the groups. But there's also some stuff, and this made me laugh when we talked about it earlier, but you can't see it, but there's like a senpai version of a cow in this farmers and cows group that is very explicit. I don't think I expressed to you how explicit it was, but like it's censored on this article.
and it's censor a cow?
Well, because it's showcasing a part of the anatomy that is messed up on Facebook, I guess. It's crazy how this can all of a sudden go up to this. One of the members says, I don't want the group to be a place for people to brew hate and cause upset, even if it's supposed to be satirical, which is pretty crazy, that these things can just turn into that immediately. And because of this, like a lot of Facebook's saying that they're not going to do anything about it. They're going to leave them be and just remove stuff when it pops up, which is like, thank God, because we'd miss out on some really great stuff.
Yeah, that's wild. Well, I guess that's all our discoveries for this week. Thanks so much for listening, and we will talk to you again next week.
Bye, guys. Have a great week.
Bye. By the way, you're over here applying for the Kerouac project. I'm like, I'm applying to be a weeping boy.
This was a podcast from the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.